Thank you for joining us today to discuss the evolving retail media landscape. We'd like to use our time to walk you through our findings and forward looking insights from Merkle's third annual Retail Media Research Report, Innovating in a Competitive Landscape. My name is Megan Cameron. I'm the Media and Monetization Lead on Merkle's Newsstream Media. My role is to support retailers as they build, scale, and evolve their retail media network programs with a focus on monetization of first party data.
And hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea Monaco. I'm the e-retail and commerce media lead at Merkle. My role is to support brands by providing data-driven and forward-looking strategies, as well as media activation in an effort to maximize an opportunity for a brand across retail media networks and marketplaces.
Great, so let's dive in. In today's landscape, we believe there is an opportunity for everyone, whether you're a retailer or a brand. We're going to discuss the unique perspectives of each, but there are some consistent themes that stood out to us. The first is innovation, whether it's concern about the competition, keeping up with media innovation, or developing new ad products. All retail media networks are focused on innovating to differentiate, or in some cases, maintain parity with a really fast expanding market. Brands should prioritize being a part of a retailer's roadmap discussion, especially as annual joint business plans are being negotiated. Second is the greater need from retail media networks to require a layered approach in technology partners and platforms. As the landscape has become more complex, so does the technology required to efficiently and profitably grow a business amidst all of that change. This has led retailers away from a single technology partner. More and more, we're seeing retailers expand their tech stack to include multiple partners. Third is a focus on data monetization, specifically data and insights being offered as a standalone ad product. We've historically seen retailers be reluctant to provide data or insights decoupled from media, but this year marks a turning point where retailers are growing this offering based on the pressure and needs of brands and their agencies. Finally, we're seeing that the definition of retail media continues to expand. When we started this research 3 years ago, the offerings from retail media networks were largely confined to on site display and search. Some off site display was included, maybe some video, perhaps some social. Today, the list of channels includes connected TV, programmatic audio, in store tactics, and plenty more.
And to give some context and visualization into this ever expanding and really complex landscape, we've created this visual. 3 years ago, when we started this included a couple logos with a really big focus on grocery and big box. Now you can see the retail media network landscape is really separated across what we call retailer owned networks, e commerce owned networks, as well as aggregated marketplaces. Grocery continues to be a main driver in this space, but you can see offerings in retailer partners have increased significantly. We're also seeing a rise in retailers in department store, specialty, and pharmacy categories in particular emerging, and they're creating their own retail media network offering. And while all of those categories are continuing to rise, the one thing that's really remained constant through this change, however, is that Amazon is continuing to dominate the space. Our survey results showed that there was participation from 85% of the brands surveyed being on Amazon. A really key takeaway here is to understand where Amazon, as well as the other emerging retail media networks we just showed, fit within your larger brand and business objectives.
It's also not surprising to see a large number of retail media networks included in our responses this year versus last. There were 18 retailers called out that didn't appear in last year's research, such as Dollar General, Carrot Ads, and Chewy, showing the scale and speed of innovation in the space. Interestingly, there were also a number of strategic retail media networks already in market that weren't called out by respondents, like Dick's Sporting Goods and Meijer. Next, we're going to take a deep dive into the key takeaways for retailers and how to stand out in what has become a very big crowd. Taking a look at the landscape from earlier, we can see that specialty retail propelled retail media growth over the last year. Providing access to first party data and on site media is now considered to be table stakes. Retailers need to give brands the tools to optimize that media, measure its performance, and manage it in the way they prefer. Our survey results show that more than half of brands believe retail media networks can provide even more value through data and insights, with media buying being optional. This is a huge shift in the landscape and puts quite a bit more power in the hands of brands. More than half also called out the importance for greater partnership opportunities with retail media networks. What this means is that brands are looking for retail media partners and their sales teams to be trusted advisors. Top features brands are looking for in a retail media network partnership is being easy to work with and having a strategic partner at the retailer. Brands are also focused on having the option for self service and the potential to manage campaigns themselves more than ever before. Transparency and access to data are key components to this relationship. This translates to the need for retailers to focus on recruiting, training, and building their sales teams to understand the importance of solution selling, as well as the importance of focusing on the needs of the brands versus their own retail media network product capabilities. Making sure to partner closely with merchant teams, marketers, the brands, and their respective agencies to ensure a very holistic approach and the right investment strategies are in place to drive success. Using a total commerce approach with a clearly defined annual joint business plan strategy and focusing on the metrics that matter to the brands. Being able to allow a brand to measure success, have access to data, and make smarter decisions for their business. Brands, shoppers, and retailers have very long standing relationships. Historically, shopper marketing has sat at the intersection of these three groups, with the retailer as the driver, the brand as the follower, and the consumer as the passive participant. Today, we're seeing that the consumer sits more firmly in the driver's seat, telling brands and retailers what they need, either explicitly or through data behavior. And that means retailers and brands need to be more collaborative to meet the needs of the consumer's needs. Given the ever changing landscape and increased expectations from the consumer, it's critical for brands, retailers, and technology partners to work together to enable great experiences for the consumer. However, retailer respondents in our survey identified that finding the right partner was the number one challenge in scaling their digital media business. When finding the right technology partner, retailers are most interested in straightforward implementation and cost effectiveness, followed by innovation. And when thinking of the right partner from a monetization standpoint, nearly three-quarters of retailers work with Google to support these programs. The technology landscape for retail media is extremely complex. On top of understanding all of the capabilities that tech partners are offering, retailers are negotiating across all elements of this flywheel. Further adding to the complexity is how many internal groups are required to make decisions, and this can be especially challenging if you're working in a siloed organization. Ensuring collaboration and integrating across all teams is critical for partnership success. From a retailer perspective, it's recommended not to overinvest in technology in the first 2 years of your retail media network, especially if you're pursuing a test phase. However, it is an expected component of the retail media partnership with a brand. So, if technology is missing, retailers should be prepared to increase the size of their team and the level of effort required to deliver campaigns to meet their brand's needs.
So now we're going to walk through the key takeaways from our research for the brand side, which is around building relationships with the retail media network and the brand. Brand demand in a strategic partnership enables retail growth. Brands truly have more power than ever before in this changing landscape, but true scale and growth in retail media is going to result from building strategic partnerships with retail media networks and the brands. What this allows a brand to do through this strategic partnership is use the retail media network's first party data. They can do this to help better understand their audience and shopper. And a better way to establish a close relationship with their shopper is through this close relationship with the retailer. And finally, it will provide a better brand and shopping experience using first party data to enable personalization for the end user and shopper. Gone are the days where retail media funding only came from trade and retail dollar spend investments. What we're seeing is brands are now funding retail media network investments across brand, performance, and trade spend. In fact, our research is showing that brands are funding across these multiple channel budgets, with shopper and trade dollars actually contributing the least. But what we're also seeing is more than half of the brands are categorizing their retail media network spend investment as what's considered upper funnel media. So the challenge in this comes to measuring success. So when retail media networks first arrived on the scene, gathering, organizing, and analyzing performance was new territory. It made it extremely challenging for brands to have sophisticated measurement in this space in the closed walled gardens of retailers. Today, many established retail media networks are now offering more transparency than they ever have before, and they've added inclusions such as closed loop measurement, incremental sales lift, as well as multi-touch attribution. So data and performance results are now being shared back to brands to better validate their investments across retail media networks. But despite these advancements in the measurement solutions and the platforms themselves, we've mentioned before that more than half of the survey respondents still feel that they consider their investment as upper funnel media. Yet when we asked the most cited metrics for gauging success, it came back as the top two being incremental sales as well as return on investment. And these are two measurement KPIs that are more typically aligned to efforts near the bottom of the funnel. So our survey revealed an interesting disconnect in how brands think about and measure their investments and where it comes from. So we're hoping to see that this will shift as measurement solutions continue to evolve in the future. And because of this newer ability to measure in a closed loop manner, as well as the fact that brands are now funding retail media across brand, performance, and trade, it means that there's an increasing connection across all touch points for a shopper journey. So brands that can increase their connection and strategies across retail media, loyalty, and shopper initiatives are going to be able to provide a differentiated offering in this extremely competitive space. The survey results show that brands are starting to see this connection across these three strategies, but there's still a huge opportunity to be a first mover here, and from an organizational and consumer experience perspective to bring these together. Brands and retailers both play a huge role in making this connection happen across shopper media, loyalty, and retail media. So brands can complement their retail media network offerings through strategic and innovative partners within the shopper landscape. You can see here the shopper landscape is also extremely complex and includes multiple partners across this shopping journey. So whether they're connecting and reaching consumers before they start shopping, reaching consumers as they're actively making decisions in the consideration phase of their journey, or reaching purchasers as they convert. Identifying the right media partner in this shopper landscape based on your brand and business needs within the shopper journey and integrated that into the retail media strategic roadmap is going to be crucial for connecting everything and having success. And in addition to media partners, brands are continuing to partner with retailers to better understand their shopper. Access to a retailer's first-party data is at the heart of this partnership. Over the past 18 months, we've seen the non-endemic offering mature. Our survey showed that 81% of US retailers work with non-endemic brands, and nearly half of those non-endemic brands in the US are taking advantage of retailers' data and media, even if their products are being sold directly by the retailer. Some key considerations for brands when you're thinking about choosing the right retail media network partner include focusing on incremental spend and investment, evaluating your digital media mix, figuring out where that investment source is coming from, and how combined they can fit into your brand and business objectives. The second is a brand and shopper approach, understanding both the on and off-site capabilities of what a retail media network can offer and how that best aligns with your brand messaging, creative, and media mix. The third is targeted reach. Retail media networks offer scale as well as valuable retailer first-party data. So a key benefit for a brand will be accessing this first-party data and creating personalized shopper experiences connected to loyalty in a walled garden environment. And the fourth is sizing the opportunity. The large variety of retail media networks allow for a targeted focus based on the vertical or the category that they're in. And they can also be scaled through finding the right technology platforms. So it's important to understand the opportunity for your brand within this retail media network space across both endemic and non-endemic.
That's great. Thanks, Chelsea, for walking us through those brand implications. So, to close us out, let's talk about where the industry is heading. I don't think this is going to come as a surprise at all, but we believe the space will continue to accelerate next year. Brands and retailers will need to be very forward thinking in their strategic approach to this evolving landscape. We expect to see quite a bit more audience driven and digitally served in store tactics become a part of retail media networks. Retailers will need technology and measurement to bring this to life in a way that enhances the shopping experience for consumers. Thinking about the in and near store experience as a media channel will be a significant driver of growth. While loyalty data fuels some of the most successful retail media networks today, there's still a lack of connection between loyalty, gamification, and promotion offerings at a retailer and their media network. Bringing these two together can lead to more meaningful investment from brands and more consistent messaging and personalized experiences for consumers. Third, here is for retailers. Maturing a non endemic offering is shifting from a nice to have to a necessity. Many retailers and brands are becoming quite a bit more sophisticated. Their demands are increasing the need for tagging, for reporting, unique data sets, and on site media placements. And finally, data monetization. If we haven't talked about it enough already this year, we're going to talk about it quite a bit more next year. It was truly a growth moment, and we see it becoming a real acceleration moment in 2023. It's an opportunity for both retailers and brands. We'll continue to see this mature over the next year as identity becomes even more important for modern marketers. Retailers and brands should strive for balance as they're looking for the right mix of media, data, and insights in their overall approach.
We wanted to thank you all for your time and joining us today. If you're interested in downloading the research, there will be a link on the platform, or you can drop your email in the chat and mention that you would like to have a copy.